question?
Whenever you were interviewing people and you weren't getting all the stuff you wanted, did you have any certain questions?
Yeah, if they were falling short, and I have to be honest, the very best interviews were for African Americans. They were uninhibited, colorful argot, and would really lay it out there. And the next best would be Irish, or Polish. Finally, you work your way up to the Presbyterian. And the classic example is an Episcopalian or Presbyterian kid brought his dad's picture in. He was from Ardmore, the main line, kind of a thin, pale, blonde hair, money dripping off his clothes.
Recessive, so
I tried to interview him a little bit. I said, well, what about Dad? Was he this way? And it was so hard to get out to talk personally about his father. I don't know if he even talked to his father personally. Finally, and I kept pressing, he said, well, Father really did have a very firm handshake. What I would do if the interview falls short, I would say, geez, this is terrific stuff. Do you happen to know someone else who also knew about him? Going to the real one. And they would say, yeah, he knew Tom, his good buddy, and his brother so-and-so. I said, good, I may touch base with them. Well, the base would be that big in the paper. But, yeah, I could see if it was a clunker, the engine was leaking oil pretty early in an interview. And I just thank him, hey, you've been an immense help. You really enhanced this man. And I speed on to the next one because I had time constraints, just like you did. Any other questions?
What do you think you'll find in the great beyond?
Me? Let me put it this way. I have an Uncle Pete who's dead. This man was so righteous and good, there was a golden aura around him. I can't see auras, so relax. You California people know how it is.
I can.
You see mine, I know later. He had a golden aura. And I always said to family members, if I go to the other side and I don't see Pete there, I'll know I'm in the wrong place. But I do believe in the afterlife. I think we'll all reconnect. And it's there. But then I also believe in extraterrestrials. I couldn't say this when I was on active duty, or they would take my security clearance away. But I can freely say, they're here. Any other questions?
In this room right now?
And they have a section as you're walking out the door on Philadelphia. I'm from a part of town. And they had all of the things, all of the books and everything on Philadelphia. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if you could read about the people that lived in Philadelphia, the average Joes, to be a part of that section?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about the Nicholson collected obituary book that wasn't published. Very briefly. And when I lean over, I'm not being fresh, I have hearing loss.
being fresh,
A couple years ago. Please, your attention. Zach Stolberg came to me and said, we want to collect all your obits into a book. Oh, wow. Follow my friends, yeah, get ready. So I picked 101, because I thought the title should be Till Death Do Us Part. 101 great love stories that would not die. And it would be love of neighborhood, somewhat where the emphasis was on the neighborhood. Love of job, love of wife, love of somebody in addition to wife, you know, whatever. Getting into my character. So I collected all the obits. They had an editor, Rick Selden. He did the editing. We're good to go. I see nothing but fame out there. Everybody. No money. The Daily News is the orphan stepchild of this operation. And at that point, money was being siphoned off the Inquirer. There was no money for the great anthology of Nicholson columns, and it didn't happen. It would be great to have a book, because what that book would have contained is what all of you have already done. It is a history of Philadelphia in that obit, games they played, places they went, politics, from the 20s to the 80s and 90s is a history. Now, one saving grace of my obits. From the very first day that I started writing, I'm usually planning ahead. Planning is not really in my life. Like when I was working on the docks, an old timer, you heard me say I planned to do something. He said, oh, no. Rich people make plans. Poor people like us make arrangements. So I had arranged from the very first day to save every obit I ever wrote. Hard copy. Fold it neatly in half, the tabloid, put it in manila folder by date, or by month and year. When I finished in 19 years, I had 3.5 cases, loaded folders. I called up the president of Temple University, Dr. Peter Lee, of course, who happened to be a big fan of the obit page. He'd write me letters. I said, Pete, would you like my obits? He sent 2 guys down. They're in the archives at Temple University. And it's on the website. It's one of the few hard copy archives that Temple has. And it also greased the skids that Jack Stolberg was a Temple alumnus. But Pete was a big fan. I did his mom, in fact, years later.
Don't they have a publishing arm of
Well,
Temple University?
Jan, talk to these.
Yeah, doesn't Temple
Yeah, I was gonna
University
say,
have a
what
publishing arm? Why don't they publish it?
I don't know. I didn't pursue it. I was
Maybe
too
you should
busy trying
now.
to keep my life in order at the time. Or something.
There's a lot of history buffs that would appreciate
Yeah.
those obituaries.
Yeah, it's a.
They have a publisher.
That would have been great.
Any question? Larkin.
Yeah.
Along the same lines as extraterrestrials and the great beyond, did you ever in writing obits feel like you were tapping into the other realms?
Only one person ever said that. That was Mike Daves, who now is the editor of the Daily News. He said, you make, and I never heard this before or since, but it got me thinking. He said, somehow you're able to tap into something psychic. Those things would come up in the obits that they didn't tell me that I knew. That was true about them. But even 2 and 2 didn't add up to that 4, and I didn't see that 4 somewhere else, but I put the 4 in. And yes, I think my hand was guided. I think very seriously that I was doing the Lord's work. Yeah, I really believe that. And in this newspaper business, we suck blood. That's what we do. It's a blood-sucking business. This is one of the few parts of the business where you can give something to the people. No strings attached. Throw some wood back on the pile. And after years and years of doing the other thing, this really felt good. I was thinking, I'm really evening out the debt here, of my own personal life. So it felt good to do this. And yeah, and spirituality, there was a joke in the newsroom. Kurt Hine used to say it. He said, if you arrived in heaven with a Nicholson in your hand, you didn't have to wait in line to go through the orientation. You walked right up, right through everything. You had to have a Nicholson in your hand.